Welcome to the Craftsman interview. I'm Jim Connell. I'm here with Don Londergon from Blue Ribbon Products out in Joliet, Illinois. And I love the beer business, and Don and I met through a mutual friend, Fred Losh. I also found out that Don is a Loris grad, went to school close to my cousin, and you know Marty Neal, who is a close friend of mine as well.
Do, yeah.
Was he in your class?
A year older.
Year older, okay. All right, got it. So thanks for being here, Don.
Pleasure.
I love talking about the beverage industry, specifically the beer business. So tell me the lineage of Blue Ribbon Products, because you guys have been here a long time.
This is our 85th year.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So take me back.
Okay, well, as you well know, Prohibition ended in 1933.
Yep.
In those days, a lot of the breweries, since their beer wasn't pasteurized and a lot of the beer was in draft, they went with a lot of produce distributors because they had refrigeration available to keep kegs cold.
Okay.
So my grandfather, Joseph, or Finney, went by Londergon and worked for one of those produce companies. I can't recall the name, but
Okay.
And at some point in time, about the next year, he acquired the distribution rights for Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Okay.
Or Pabst Brewing Company, which there may have been another brand or two with it.
Sure.
So that would have been 1934, and then unfortunately he had a stroke at the age of 42 in 1939, 1940, something like that, and passed. So my dad would have only been 12 years old at the time. And then my grandmother, Elva, took over at that time and basically ran it until about 1965 or 66 when she was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Wow, that's fascinating because so she takes over the business. First of all, if you hit the 5-year mark, you're still really a young business.
Oh, yeah.
And then she takes over as a female in a heavily male-dominated business and runs it all the way up into the mid-60s. That's a fascinating story. Mm-hmm. Is there any, have you heard any stories about her through, because you've never met her?
I was maybe 3.
Okay.
I think, let's see, yeah, I'd been 3 when she passed, so I remember her, but I didn't really know her.
Okay.
Heard
gotcha.
great things. I guess she was very respected, a very strong woman.
Yeah.
She was an opera singer.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
An opera singer?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, and well respected. I mean, a beautiful woman too. I've seen pictures.
Yeah,
of her.
yeah.
Because I didn't know her, I don't have any specific stories that stick out. But the fact that she could just run that company for 25 years, from 1940 to 65.
Yeah, that's an amazing feat.
Yeah.
That is an amazing feat. So did your dad take over upon her death?
My dad took over right about then. He started with the business. He went into the Navy when he was 16 for World War II. Fibbed about his age, like
Really?
I guess a lot of people did at the time. And when he got out, which I'm thinking he was right around 18, he got his GED down at Joliet Township at Joliet Central, and basically he and my grandmother started, working together. He was on the truck. He got his 30 years in with the Teamsters, and he would have taken over officially at her passing in June of '67.
And that was in the old place that had a fire, correct?
2 fires.
Two
Two
fires.
fires and a tornado.
2 fires and a tornado. Okay, break that down for me.
Well, the first one, I don't know much about. That was, we were down on underneath the Cass Street Bridge, and it was a rail spur. From what I was told, it was a potato sorting factory. The potatoes would come in off the rails, and they'd sort them and bag them and whatever.
Okay.
And then that burned. I think it was somewhere around, it was the mid-'60s. I know my grandmother was still alive. So then we moved to the west side on McDonough Street.
Okay, that's the one I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in '75, that one burned to the ground. Complete loss. Rebuilt in the same spot, and that's where we were for 42 years until we moved here.
Okay. So isn't there's I've heard a cool story through some of the guys that you guys, that McDonough burned to the ground and you didn't miss a delivery.
Yeah, I think we may have missed one.
Okay, all right.
But it happened on a Friday night, the fire, complete loss. Franz Benton Trucks got a fleet of trucks down, I think by Sunday morning. It was President's Day weekend, so we had Monday as a little buffer anyway.
Okay, gotcha.
So They got a fleet of trucks down. They even had Blue Ribbon products on the door, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And at the time, I think it was 4 or 5 trucks, but still,
That's cool,
overnight.
Man. Absolutely.
And then we ended up, I don't know if it was rented or we were loaned the use of the old Monarch Brewery down on Collins Street.
Okay.
And it wasn't used as a brewery at the time, but that was Frank Hoffman's building. And we moved in there until the new building was complete. And I don't really remember exactly when.
Okay.
But we stayed down there, and I think we missed that Tuesday. That was the only day. The brewery's expedited loads, got us beer.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And 40 weeks are hard for for beer delivery because you're trying to pack 5 into 4.
It was something. All the tools, it was a complete loss. So our basement kind of became ground zero for signs. Remember, a piece of plywood went over the pool table, and that's where all the old signs were sprayed. I don't know if you remember those spray painted signs.
I remember the building. Is it still? What's going on there now?
It's a restaurant supply company now.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Same buildings and everything, though,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you guys sold that, built this. This place is spectacular.
Well, thank you.
Tell me a little bit about the process of shaping the design, because this room is really cool. The training room, you have a bar, you've got all this wood, and I know there's significance as it relates to why you did what you did. So kind of break that down.
It's a lot of questions at once.
Sorry.
The design itself, I knew about what I needed in square feet based on what we had at the old place.
Okay.
And we're able to expand, so I definitely wanted to be able to grow if need be, and hopefully need will be.
Yep.
Same story with the training room. Our old conference room was nice at the time, but a nice training room I think is important to any distributor these days. And everything was, the architects, the construction, peak construction, they're unbelievable, very much involved. So you don't walk in and say, "Oh, I didn't know it was going to be like that." I mean, you're everything from picking the color of the wall plates to, cooler was overbuilt because again, I just didn't want to run out of space again.
Yeah, grow into it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, tell me about the wood and this. You had talked a little bit about Joliet being a steel town or something like that.
Steel and stone.
Steel and stone. So there's a lot of that.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to kind of convey that. This is a little bit of my dream room, really.
Yeah.
I wanted stone and some iron, and I think we got it. It's all reclaimed wood. I don't know, you probably can't see, some of you may, but the black, any wood that has black came from Kentucky because they used to paint the barns black on the inside and out to heat up to dry the tobacco.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's all I know about the specific, but the wood's from all over the country.
That's great. So going back to your dad, tell me a little bit about your dad, both personally and professionally. How was he to work with? What was your first memory of working in Blue Ribbon or for your dad?
Well, the memories go back a long time. I mean, if we want to get technical, it'd be when I was 12 sweeping the floors.
Okay.
But one memory strikes me. I wasn't driving, so maybe I'd been 14, 15 maybe, but every Saturday morning back then, this would have been the late 70s, I guess, we'd get our draft beer in on Saturday morning. We'd get a straight trailer load. That's when we had our own over-the-road trucker.
Okay.
And trailers were 48 feet then, not 53, but it would be a straight load of kegs, stacked 2 high with slip sheets in the middle, and we'd have to palletize them. So basically it's 250 to 300 barrels that you would be rolling, and the forklift would be down at ground level, and you basically put them on keg pallets and slip boards.
Okay.
And it was a ritual every Saturday, winter, summer, and sometimes it was more miserable than others, trust me.
A little wet too, I would imagine.
In the summer the barrels were sweaty and so were we.
Yeah, yeah.